The house beneath the lake. They told stories about Lake Daggerwood long before the town was built around it. Stories that started as whispers and eventually became warnings. Never swim too close to the center, they said. There's a house down there, and it's waiting. Max Turner never cared for legends. He was a documentary filmmaker, skeptical, analytical. When he heard about the so-called Daggerwood curse, he smelled content. Viral potential. He packed his gear, brought along his friend and diver Charlie, and drove to the sleepy lakeside town of Whisper Pines. The town greeted them with closed blinds and forced smiles. When Max asked about the lake, the townsfolk just muttered, "The lake doesn't take strangers kindly." At the inn, the old woman at the counter slipped him a room key and whispered, "If you hear music after dark, lock your door and don't look outside." The first 2 days were uneventful. Max flew his drone over the lake, filmed some eerily calm water, and captured interviews with reluctant locals. But on the third night, the music came. Faint piano, echoing across the water like it was being played in a ballroom buried beneath the surface. Charlie laughed it off, called it hauntingly romantic, and convinced Max to record it. They set up microphones by the dock. The moment the music reached the recorder, the lake rippled violently, and then it stilled. Too still. The next morning, Charlie was gone. His bed untouched, but his wetsuit and camera were missing. Max checked the dock, no sign of him, but the boat was gone. Max played back the lake recording. At the end of the piano melody, there was a voice, faint, wet. It whispered, "He came home." Max took a canoe out to the center of the lake. That's when he saw it. Below the surface, beneath the shimmer, stood a house. A full Victorian manor, submerged entirely yet perfectly preserved. Lights flickered inside. He dove. The water wasn't cold. It was warm. Too warm. And as he swam closer, he saw curtains blowing inward from shattered windows, a chandelier swinging gently, and faces watching him from the glass, pale, bloated, unblinking. Inside the house, Charlie floated just above the foyer floor, eyes open, smiling. He mouthed words Max couldn't hear. Then, without warning, the front door creaked open. Max couldn't resist. He swam inside. The water vanished the moment he crossed the threshold. He stood in the foyer, completely dry. The house smelled of damp wood and forgotten memories. Portraits lined the walls, portraits of people from town, but they were wrong. In each, the person's face had been replaced with Max's. He turned around to leave. The lake was gone. Now he was inside and there were no doors. The piano began again, louder now, coming from upstairs. Max followed the sound. The staircase seemed endless, turning back on itself, going higher and higher until gravity felt confused. On the 5th floor, though the house only appeared to have 2 from the outside, he found a room where the walls bled. Thick red lines pulsed and ran down like sweat. Inside the room was a mirror. His reflection wasn't his. It was older, tired, drowning. It reached out and pulled him through. Now he was submerged again, but this time, inside the mirror. Everything inverted. The house decayed, warped. The piano played backwards, and the faces in the windows smiled wider, their mouths tearing at the corners. He ran. Every door led back to the same room, until finally a door opened to the lake. He swam toward the surface. Breaching the water, gasping, he found the canoe. The sun was rising. Back on land, the town was quiet, too quiet. Every person he met had the same face, his. He checked his reflection. It wasn't his anymore. He went back to the inn. The old woman at the desk looked up, and her eyes widened in horror. "You weren't supposed to come back." The lights never go out in Coldmarsh. It started with a single light. Coldmarsh was a forgotten mining town in northern Montana. No one lived there anymore. No power grid, no phone lines, no reason for lights to be on. And yet every night at exactly 3:13 a.m., a single house lit up at the edge of town. Bright, flickering, alive. Paranormal investigator Anna Wells had seen her share of strange cases. But Coldmarsh was different. The locals refused to talk about it. Her emails to the sheriff went unanswered. But the legend was clear. No one who entered the house on Pine Ridge Street ever came out. She arrived alone. The road ended before it reached the town. She hiked the last 2 miles, through fog thick as soup. The air smelled like rust and ash. The buildings leaned in, decaying, like they were whispering to one another. And at the edge of it all, the house stood, tall, pristine, and waiting. The front porch creaked. The door was open. Inside, the wallpaper was still fresh. The furniture untouched. A grandfather clock ticked steadily, its pendulum swinging backwards. Anna set up cameras, EMF sensors, digital recorders. The house didn't respond until 3:13 a.m. Then everything changed. All the lights came on at once, bright, blinding, and the clock struck 13. From upstairs came the sound of wet footsteps, not walking, dragging. Something was being pulled. She climbed the stairs. The hallway stretched. Rooms multiplied. Doors opened to impossible spaces. An orphanage dormitory, a collapsing church, a sunken hospital hallway. Places that should not fit inside a house. Each room held someone, frozen in place, mid-scream, mid-prayer, eyes wide, silent. And behind her, always just out of sight, came the dragging sound. She found a room filled with mirrors. Dozens of versions of herself stared back, but one was wrong. One bled from the eyes. That one smiled. A whisper came from behind the glass. "You're already in the film." She turned to leave. The hallway had changed. The walls pulsed like veins. The floor was warm and sticky. Voices now. They came from the walls, chanting something unintelligible but rhythmic. She recorded it. When played back, the chanting reversed into a message. "We are not dead. We are waiting." In the basement, she found the truth. Film reels. Hundreds of them. All labeled with names. Her name was already there. She played the reel. It showed her walking into the house, setting up cameras, climbing stairs, exactly as she had done. But the footage didn't stop. It continued. It showed her being taken by something shadowed, long-limbed, faceless. She watched as her future was revealed. And then the film burned. Smoke filled the room. Laughter echoed from the shadows. Childlike, mocking. She ran. But the house didn't let her. Every door led deeper. Every window showed a different time, 1903, 1921, 1954. And in each, the same house stood, always waiting, always lit. Anna fell through a door that led to the attic. There, hanging from the rafters, were dozens of light bulbs, each filled with something dark, writhing. The lights were memories. She smashed one. A scream filled the room, not hers. A miner, trapped, buried, calling for his daughter. She smashed another. A girl, praying as something scratched at her window. Another. A family dinner. Everyone frozen, except one person blinking in terror, unable to speak as shadows formed behind them. Each light was a soul, and they were trapped. One light flickered violently. Her own. Before she could reach it, the floor gave way. She woke up outside. Morning. The town was silent. Her gear gone. No sign of the house. But every night at 3:13 a.m., her apartment light now flickers the same way. The film reel appears on her desk every morning. And each night she dreams of the attic again. The lights, the screaming, and her own voice whispering, "We are not dead. We are waiting." Jonathan Reed's obsession with ghost towns had led him into places most wouldn't dare enter. But Holleridge wasn't just forgotten, it was erased. No official records, no roads, no satellite images. Yet it existed. A librarian in Albany had slipped him a photo marked Holleridge, 1977. Everyone in the picture was smiling, but their eyes were scratched out. Not digitally, physically, like someone didn't want them to be remembered. And in the back of the photo, written in a shaky hand, "Never let the mirror face the west." The GPS lost signal as soon as Jonathan passed mile marker 66. The road twisted into trees so dense, daylight itself seemed unwelcome. Crows circled above as if escorting him in. Then the town appeared, abruptly. No welcome sign. Just buildings, too perfect, too preserved, like they'd never aged. Dusty mannequins stood behind broken shop windows. And silence pressed in like a weight. His camera caught it all. But something strange happened. In the playback, he wasn't there. Only the town, as if it were watching itself. He found a hotel at the town center, the Westgate Inn. No lights, but the chandelier was swinging. Jonathan entered with his flashlight. The front desk had a guest log open, dated today's date, and his name already signed. No one was behind him. He flipped the page. One word was scribbled over and over: remember. Room 306 was unlocked. Inside, a single mirror stood across the bed. He looked into it. His reflection didn't match. He smiled. His reflection did not. Instead, it leaned forward, raised a finger, and shushed him. He stumbled back, but the reflection stepped through the glass. That night, he dreamt of a woman dragging her skin behind her like a gown, whispering names backwards. He woke up bleeding from the mouth. The mirror was gone. Jonathan discovered tapes in the hotel basement, labeled Subjects 133. They showed people in rooms like his talking to mirrors, weeping, screaming. Then suddenly, forgetting who they were. In the last tape, a child said, "Mommy went into the mirror. She's stuck now. But sometimes she comes out when I sleep." The screen flickered, and a woman's face pressed against the lens from the other side, eyes hollow, jaw broken, whispering, "Jonathan, come join us." He dropped the tape. His name was never on the log before today. How did she know it? A massive mirror stood in the town's chapel, cracked but pulsing, as if breathing. Jonathan's reflection no longer mirrored him. It was older, eyes stitched shut. It pointed behind him. He turned, and the townspeople were there. Dozens. Silent, their mouths sewn. All of them looked like they'd walked out of fire, except one, taller, burned black, with no eyes, no lips, the forgotten one. It opened its mouth. From within came a voice, his mother's, "Don't forget me again." Then the mirror sucked him in. Inside was Hollow Ridge inverted. Skies were ash, buildings floated. And every time Jonathan thought a direction, it changed. People were trapped in mirrors, screaming versions of themselves. He found himself, too, being dissected by reflections in lab coats. He screamed to wake up. One of the surgeons leaned close and said, "You already did." Jonathan smashed a mirror and ran through the shards. He fell into the hotel room again. Morning light. Silence. Was it over? His camera was on the bed, playing footage he didn't shoot. In the footage, he stands at the edge of town and whispers, "It only ends if someone else comes in." 1 year later, a new YouTube video goes viral. A vlogger finds an unknown town, Hollow Ridge. He laughs off the warnings in the comments. Final frame of the video, he looks into a mirror, smiles, but the reflection does not. And in a reversed, layered voice, it says, "We remember now." The Vanishing. The town of Grayson Hollow vanished on September 7, 1997. No one saw it coming. No news headlines. No rescue teams. Just silence. Every man, woman, and child gone overnight. For years, it was written off as a ghost story, something teenagers whispered about during sleepovers. But I know better, because I found the town, and I barely made it out. My name is Alex Kane. I'm a freelance investigator. Ghost towns are kind of my thing. Forgotten places, buried secrets, lost history. So when I received a letter with no return address, just 4 words typed on a yellowing paper: "Find Grayson Hollow," help them. I knew I had to go. I searched records, maps, old utility grids. Nothing. Grayson Hollow didn't exist. But I found it on a single torn highway sign deep in the Appalachians. Faded paint, barely visible, but it was there. Welcome to Grayson Hollow, Esther 1879. And behind that sign, the forest parted like it was breathing. The road in was broken, swallowed by moss and silence. Trees bent unnaturally, leaning inward like watchers. No birds, no wind, just the hum of nothing. And then the town appeared, perfectly preserved. Houses untouched, windows clean, cars parked neatly in driveways. It looked like time had paused. But there was no one, not a single soul, no bodies, no blood, no signs of struggle, just emptiness. Mailboxes filled with letters, food rotting on dinner tables, TV static still buzzing in some homes. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. I set up my recorder. Day 1, 3:17 p.m. I've entered Grayson Hollow. No signs of life. Feels like the people just vanished mid-action. Everything's frozen. Temperature's colder here even though the weather outside was fine. I stayed at the sheriff's house that night. It felt safest. But at 2:41 a.m. I heard whispers, faint, garbled, like someone speaking underwater. I stepped outside with a flashlight. The air was thick, like syrup. Then I saw it. A man, standing at the edge of the trees, his skin pale, stretched too tight, eyes black. Not like dark brown black, empty voids. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. I backed into the house, locked every door. He stayed there until sunrise, and then he was gone. Day 2, 11:08. I found a diary in the school principal's office, entry dated September 6, 1997. It reads, "They're coming again, the shadows. They take those who listen. If we hear them, we vanish." I checked the radio. All I heard was static. Then the static shifted, and I heard a voice. A child, crying over and over. "They took Mommy. Don't listen. Don't listen." The recorder turned off by itself. When I turned it back on, the time read 3:33 a.m. That night, the town changed. Buildings looked older, walls cracked, windows blacked out, like something had drained the color out of everything. In the diner, I found writing on the wall, scratched with fingernails. We opened the door. It doesn't close. Then I saw the mural, painted on the back wall. A circular symbol with hands reaching inward, a black void in the center, and below it, the hollow man watches. I heard footsteps upstairs, but no one was there, only a mirror. And in the mirror, I saw myself standing perfectly still, but I wasn't alone. Over my shoulder, a tall figure loomed, smiling. Its face was mine, but the eyes were empty, and the smile far too wide. Day 3, 6:12, and I woke up to banging, not on the door, from under the floorboards. Something or someone was underneath the sheriff's house. I dropped to my knees, pressed my ear to the wood. There was breathing, slow, ragged, not human. Then I heard it whisper, "He's in you now." I bolted out of the house. The entire street looked older, like it had aged 50 years overnight. Trees were dead, paint peeling. The sun never rose above the clouds. I decided I needed to leave, but every road led me back. I drove west, found myself back at the school. Drove east, ended up near the same gas station with the broken window. This town wasn't just empty, it was alive, and it didn't want me to go. I decided to try something different. I walked through the forest, compass in hand, no camera, no gear, just me. After 2 hours of straight hiking, I saw it again. Welcome to Grayson Hollow, Esther 1879. Exactly the way I first found it, like I'd never left. Day 3, 3:09 p.m. I broke into the church. Inside was a congregation of mannequins, lifelike, dressed in Sunday best. all seated facing the pulpit. A small organ played itself. There was no power. The priest's journal was still open on the altar. Last entry. The hollow man demands memory. We offer our pasts, our faces, our names. He consumes, and we forget. My hands shook. Suddenly, I couldn't remember my mom's face. Then I realized I didn't know my own birthday. My voice on the recorder sounded distant, like it wasn't mine anymore. I was losing pieces of myself. That night, I heard scratching. Not outside. Inside my head. Voices started murmuring things I didn't know. Foreign languages, numbers, and one repeated phrase in English, "One of you must stay." 1:44 a.m. I wandered into a house I hadn't seen before. Inside, there were hundreds of photographs on the walls. Every photo was me. Different angles, different outfits. Some I'd never worn, some I hadn't taken yet. In one, I was dead. Face down in the church aisle, blood pooling around my head. In another, I was smiling, but my eyes were missing. My reflection in the glass frame blinked, but I didn't. Then came the scream from outside. High, female, piercing. I ran out, heart pounding, following it through twisted streets that didn't match the map. I found the diner again. The walls bled. Actual blood. And in the booth near the window was a girl. Couldn't be older than 6. Long black hair. Torn pajamas, she whispered. They took my voice. They gave it to the town. She looked at me with hollow eyes. "You're next." Then her mouth opened wide, too wide, and she screamed without sound. The windows shattered, and everything went black. Day 5, 8 m. I woke up in the forest. No gear, no backpack. Only one thing in my hand. A key, old, rusted, numbered 304. The same number from the man at the ER. There was no room 304 in Grayson Hollow. Not yet, but I had a feeling it would appear soon. Day 5, 11:39. I wandered through Grayson Hollow with the key in my pocket. It felt warm, too warm. Buildings shifted around me. Streets I'd walked before led to dead ends. The town was changing its shape. That's when I saw it. A new building. It hadn't been there yesterday. 3 stories tall, brick blackened with soot, no windows, just a single brass plaque. Grayson Hollow Memorial Hospital. My chest tightened. This place didn't exist on the map, but I knew what was inside. Room 304. The inside smelled of rust, mildew, and antiseptic. Dim, flickering lights. Walls warped and pulsing like flesh. Wheelchairs overturned in the halls. I passed doors with names etched in metal. Patient 27, believed to be dead. Patient 31, dreams still echo. Then I found it. Room 304. The door was old, but the handle was cold, freshly touched. I unlocked it with trembling hands. Inside, darkness. I stepped in. The door slammed behind me. Suddenly, I was in a different room, a child's bedroom. Familiar. Too familiar. This was my room. From when I was 10, even the wallpaper, the blue rockets and stars. I turned, and there it was. Me, a younger version of me, sitting on the bed, crying. He looked up and whispered, "You left me here, alone, with it." Then the room darkened. The walls melted. The bed twisted into claws. I screamed, but the boy only smiled. His eyes turned black. The lights returned. Now I stood in the hospital morgue. Drawers rattled around me. One slid open. Inside was a body bag. My name on the tag. I unzipped it slowly. My face stared back, mouth agape, eyes glassy, but it blinked and whispered, "He already has your face." I ran, but the hallway twisted endlessly. A loop, a maze. Each turn brought me back to room 304, again and again and again. Day 6, 2:03. I woke in the church pew, disoriented. sweating. In my hand, a photo, the girl from the diner. But now she had my face. Underneath, scrawled in blood, "You're fading." I checked the mirror in the sacristy. I had no reflection, just a shadow. I whispered my name and forgot it halfway through. The town wasn't just trapping me, it was replacing me. Day 6, 9:45 p.m. I heard voices calling from the woods, dozens of them, crying, laughing, screaming. They surrounded the church, faces pressed to the glass, all wearing my face, clones hollow, all whispering the same words, "Join us." I lit a fire, burned the altar, the church, the photographs. I ran toward the forest, but the path ended at a grave, a fresh one, my name carved in stone. Alex Kane, lost in memory. And then the ground opened, and I fell. Different room, child's bedroom, familiar, younger version. Hospital morgue, body bag, my name, whispering. Photo, girl from the diner, no reflection. Voices from the woods, clones, join us. Grave, carved in stone, fresh one. Day 7, time unknown. I woke underground, not in dirt, but something softer. It pulsed, like flesh. The walls moved. Breathing. I was inside the town, literally. A tunnel opened ahead, lined with teeth, veins, and whispering mouths. They all whispered one thing. "He is waiting." I walked. I didn't know how long. There was no time here, just memories. I saw scenes playing on the walls like film projections. My first kiss, my father's funeral, my worst nightmares. But something was wrong. In every memory, there was someone else standing in the background, tall, faceless, watching, the hollow man. The tunnel opened into a cavern. At its center, a throne made of bones. And on it, he sat, 10 feet tall. Skin like candle wax, no eyes, mouth stitched shut. But his voice echoed in my mind. "You've lived many lives, Alex Kane. None of them are yours." He reached out a hand. The tunnel, cavern, throne, bones. He sat, 10 feet tall, skin like candle wax, no eyes, mouth stitched shut. Voice echoed. "Lived many lives. None of them are yours." Each of his fingers became a different person. People I'd seen in the town. The girl, the sheriff, the boy version of me. They were all him. Grayson Hollow was born from your forgetting, from your guilt, from everything you buried. He showed me what I forgot, that I'd driven drunk 10 years ago, killed a family on a highway, fled, changed my name, started over. But the memory never died. It took shape. It built Grayson Hollow, a town of sins, regrets, echoes. I was the ghost all along, and now the town wanted to keep me, forever. One must stay, one may leave. His voice whispered again. I saw a mirror, and in it, 2 versions of me. One, the me that sinned. The other, a hollow man. I had to choose. Sacrifice myself to let the town die, or let it live, and lose myself forever. I chose. I stepped into the mirror and smashed it. Day 8, 7:01, and I woke up in my apartment. The city buzzed outside. No fog, no whispers. My voice was mine again. I looked in the mirror. It was me. But was it? A knock at the door. A little girl stood there, long black hair, hollow eyes. She smiled. You left the door open. Behind her, the fog rolled in. Memory, drunk driving, killed a family, town, sins. Mirror, 2 versions. Sacrifice, town. Lose myself. Woke up, apartment, fog, little girl. It started with the whisper. Megan had just moved into the old farmhouse with her son, Caleb. She was a single mother, trying to escape a past she rarely spoke about. The house was cheap, too cheap, but it was quiet, rural, and perfect for a fresh start. The locals had warned her, not directly, but through vague phrases. That house has a history. If he talks to the man under the bed, don't listen. Some things stay because they were never invited to leave. She smiled politely, ignored them. Day 1. Caleb was excited. His new room was big with a view of the woods. But that night Megan heard him whispering. At first she thought it was an imaginary friend, until she walked by his room and heard a second voice. Deep, cold, not her son's. She threw open the door. Caleb was alone, sitting on the bed, smiling. "Who were you talking to?" He shrugged. "The man under the bed." Megan forced a laugh. "Well, he needs to go to sleep too." But her stomach twisted. Day 2. She heard tapping. Every night, at exactly 2:11 a.m., coming from Caleb's room. He never woke up. But the tapping continued. One night, she opened his door. He was floating, 6 inches above the bed, eyes open, whispering the same words over and over. "He's coming soon. He's coming soon. He's..." Then he dropped, screamed once, and fell asleep. Day 3. Megan tried to leave. Packed the car. Caleb stood in the driveway. "I can't go." He said he'll come with us if I do. She knelt down. "Honey, who is he?" He leaned in, whispered the skin man. That night she looked under his bed. There was a hole, not a normal one, a perfect circle. Black. Breathing. Something moved inside it. A hand reached out. Long. Pale. Too many joints. Megan didn't sleep. Day 4. She called a priest. He arrived, looked around, and left. Didn't say a word. Priest arrived, looked around, left. Later she found a note under her pillow. "You invited it by not believing. It cannot be exorcised, only fed." She found Caleb in the basement, drawing on the walls, symbols, eyes, teeth. He looked up. "He says you taste like sadness." Day 5. The walls bled, the mirrors whispered. The ceiling cracked open to reveal eyes. She screamed, but no sound came. The man under the bed had taken it. Caleb stopped speaking, but he stared at her all the time now, like he was waiting. Final night. She woke up on Caleb's floor, couldn't move, paralyzed. The man under the bed slid out, 7 feet tall, skin like torn wallpaper. His face was a hole, a mouth that swallowed light. He crawled toward her, whispering, "You saw me. That means you're mine." He reached into her chest, pulled something out. Her scream, her soul, her memory. 1 year later. New family moves into the farmhouse. Their daughter asks about the weird drawings in the basement. Her father laughs. "Just old paint, sweetheart." That night, the girl whispers to her mother, "Mommy, the man under the bed says hi." Lockdown. Room 209. The first alarm, March 12, 2020. Spring was settling into Willow Creek High, a small-town school in Indiana. Birds chirped lazily outside, unaware of the tension inside. The virus had just begun making headlines, and rumors swirled through the hallways like gossip-fueled wildfire. Sophomore Claire Evans sat in room 209 during her 4th period English class, tapping her pen nervously against her notebook. Mr. Darnell, their teacher, was talking about "of mice and men," but the buzzing notification on everyone's phones overshadowed Steinbeck's tragedy. Emergency lockdown. This is not a drill. Stay in your classrooms and away from windows. Lock doors immediately. Gasps, murmurs, panic. "All right, everyone stay calm," Mr. Darnell said, locking the door with trembling hands. "Move away from the windows, sit on the floor, stay quiet." The class did as told, huddling in the far corner. Claire clutched her phone and peeked at the hallway through the narrow window. Empty, silent. But something felt wrong. This wasn't like a regular drill. There had been no announcement, no prior warning, just silence. And then footsteps. Heavy, uneven, dragging footsteps. Something in the hallway, The school was dead quiet, yet the sound echoed like thunder. Thump, scrape, thump. A girl whimpered. Mr. Darnell put a finger to his lips. Claire looked again through the glass, heart racing. A tall figure was stumbling down the hall. It looked wrong. Too tall, too thin. Its arms hung like wires, fingers twitching unnaturally. It paused outside room 209. Claire ducked. Her breath hitched. Everyone froze. The doorknob jiggled, locked. Then a horrible sound, a wet, crackling laugh. Not human, not possible. It scratched the door. A long, slow drag of nails or claws or something worse. Then silence. Claire bit her lip to keep from screaming. Whispering shadows. They waited. Minutes passed, then an hour. Still no word from the intercom. No cops, no teachers. Just that thing in the hallway, appearing every once in a while, dragging something heavy behind it. Something that left a dark red trail. Phones had lost signal. The lights flickered. A low hum started in the air like feedback, but deeper. Some students said they could hear voices in it, whispers calling their names. "I think it's inside the PA system," one kid whispered. "It's talking to us." That's when Jeremy, a sophomore football player, stood up. "This is bullshit. I'm getting out of here." Before Mr. Darnell could stop him, Jeremy unlocked the door and bolted. Silence. Then screams. Then silence again. Detention forever. When Claire peeked through the window again, the hallway was darker. The emergency lights had flickered on, casting everything in crimson. Room 207's door was open and covered in what looked like handprints. Bloody handprints. Drag marks. But no Jeremy. Then the intercom crackled. "Room 209. Claire Evans, come out. We saved you a seat." It wasn't Principal Harris's voice. It was distorted, childlike, yet ancient, like multiple voices stacked on top of each other. Claire backed away from the speaker. That's when Tommy, the quiet kid from the back, started muttering. They built the school on old land, burial land, native, cursed. My grandpa told me. They tried to cover it up, but now the virus has thinned the veil. It's letting things in. Everyone stared. Tommy's nose started to bleed, and behind him, a shadow peeled away from the wall. The substitute. The shadow coalesced into a woman, tall, pale, dressed like an old-timey schoolteacher. Her face was smooth like wax except her mouth, which split open far too wide. "Time for detention, children." Mr. Darnell stood shielding the kids. "Get away from them." But she raised a hand, and Mr. Darnell levitated. His limbs bent the wrong way, bones snapping like twigs. He hit the ceiling, then the floor. Dead. The kids screamed. Claire grabbed Tommy and yanked him toward the supply closet in the back. "Go, now!" 5 of them made it inside. Claire slammed the door shut as the others screamed outside. Then, silence again. The rules of room 209. Inside the closet, it was pitch black. Claire whispered, "What is going on?" Tommy answered, trembling. "She's the warden, a spirit born from punishment, from pain." When the pandemic started, the school became a sealed space, like a haunted loop. She collects souls. Every room has its own demon now. Claire blinked. "What do we do?" Tommy handed her a paper from his bag. "These are the rules. My grandpa wrote them before he died. He was a janitor here." Claire read, "Do not leave the classroom, even if the voice on the intercom calls you. Do not look at the ceiling between 3:33 and 3:36 p.m. If you see your teacher change faces, close your eyes and count to 13. If someone knocks 3 times, do not open. 4 is safe. 3 is death. Whatever happens, never answer the roll call after 3 p.m. Outside the closet, the intercom clicked. Roll call. Claire Evans? She clamped her hand over her mouth. Tommy Barker? No one answered. Then a pause. Good students. Time's up. Minutes passed. Then something thumped against the closet door. Once, twice, 3 times. Everyone froze. Then a fourth knock. Tommy whispered, "It's okay, that's the safe one." Claire opened the door slowly. Nothing, except for a key on the floor. Nobody answered. Good students, time's up. Something thumped against the closet door. Everyone froze. Claire opened the door, a key on the floor, a small bronze key with the number 13 etched on it. They stepped out. The classroom was empty. Everyone was gone. Only Mr. Darnell's twisted body remained. Claire turned to Tommy. "This key, what does it open?" He paled. "Room 13, but there is no room 13. It was sealed decades ago. Someone hanged themselves in there. They say it's where the warden was born." Claire stared at the key, then at the crimson-lit hallway. "Then that's where we go." Room 13. They followed the key's pull-down forgotten hallways, past doors that wept, past lockers that screamed when opened. The whole school had transformed into something living, breathing, hungry. Finally, at the end of a hallway that didn't exist on any map, they found it. Room 13. The door was covered in chains, but the key melted them away. Inside, the air was thick. A single desk sat in the center. On it, a black leather book and a name carved into the wood. Claire Evans. The walls whispered her name. Tommy backed away. "She chose you." The lights flared. The warden appeared. "Welcome to detention, Claire." Claire stood her ground. "No." She threw the book into the center of the room. It burst into flames. The room screamed. The school shook. Claire grabbed Tommy's hand and ran. Escape. Or not. The school crumbled behind them. Hallways collapsed. Doors warped. Lockers opened to reveal teeth. Claire and Tommy reached the front doors. Locked. Behind them, the warden howled. Then Claire remembered the emergency lockdown system. She sprinted to the main office. Alarms blared. Smoke filled the halls. She slammed her hand on the override switch. Lockdown disengaged. The front doors blew open. They ran into the daylight. Aftermath. Outside, the town was empty. No cars, no people, just silence. Claire turned to Tommy. "We made it." But Tommy wasn't there. She stood alone. Then her phone buzzed. One new message. From unknown. "Roll call, Claire Evans?" She looked up. The school behind her was gone. Only a black void remained. School crumbled, hallways collapsed, doors warped, lockers opened to reveal teeth. Front doors locked, warden howled, emergency lockdown system. Alarms blared, smoke filled the halls. Lockdown disengaged, front doors blew open. Town was empty. Silence, Claire, Tommy. But Tommy wasn't there, alone, phone buzzed. From unknown, roll call. Claire Evans. School behind her was gone. Black void remained. Echoes in the hall locked down school horror. Pine Ridge High had always been the kind of place that felt frozen in time. An old red brick building surrounded by thick forest on three sides. It sat at the edge of a sleepy Ohio town that barely showed up on Google Maps. But after the pandemic started, even the quietest places felt unsettled. The school had reopened for full in-person classes just 2 weeks ago. The hallways were filled with muffled conversations behind masks, the smell of sanitizer, and the ghost of a new normal. Lockers stood untouched. Kids weren't allowed to use them. Every classroom had windows cracked open, no matter how cold it was. And teachers constantly reminded students to stay 3 feet apart, though no one really listened. That Monday, everything felt unusually still. In room 104, chemistry class had just started when the lights flickered. Mr. Halvorsen, a man in his late 50s with permanently ink-stained fingers, was drawing molecular diagrams on the whiteboard. The students barely looked up from their phones. Then the classroom phone rang once. A sharp, single ring. Mr. Halvorsen paused. He glanced at the phone. It didn't ring again. He crossed the room, picked up the receiver, and held it to his ear. Nothing. No dial tone, no static. He hung up and frowned. That was odd. Emily Ruiz, sitting by the window, felt it rush across her skin like fingers. She shivered. "Sir," she said, "I think someone's outside." Mr. Halverson turned to look. Probably just the janitor. But when he peered through the window, his expression changed. A low fog had crept into the courtyard. It hadn't been there 5 minutes ago. It was dense, rolling like it had a mind of its own. The flag on the pole in the center of the courtyard fluttered once, despite the air being still. Then the loudspeaker crackled. "Lockdown. This is not a drill. Lock. Lights. Out of sight." The room froze. Everyone looked at Mr. Halverson. "Okay," he said, trying to stay calm. "Let's move. You know the procedure." He turned off the lights and locked the door. Students scrambled under desks and into corners. Emily crouched beside the supply cabinet, arms wrapped tightly around her knees. Something felt wrong. Not just the fog, not just the sudden lockdown. It was the silence. Schools weren't supposed to be silent, even in lockdown. There should have been sounds. Distant footsteps, intercom updates, a teacher yelling down the hall. But there was nothing. Just silence. Then a knock. Not at the door. At the window. 3 slow knocks. Emily dared to peek. She wished she hadn't. A face was pressed against the glass. Gray. Featureless. Skin like wet paper. Its eyes, if they were eyes, were completely black, like ink spills. And it was smiling, but not with lips, with cracks. She screamed. Mr. Halverson rushed to her. "What is it?" She pointed, but the face was gone. The fog had thickened, clinging to the window like breath on glass. Then came the second noise, not from the hallway, from the ceiling. A dragging sound. Someone, was crawling in the vents. The metal creaked above them. Dust fell from the corners. A student named Jason whispered, "We're on the first floor. The vent system doesn't connect to the roof." No one responded. The dragging sound continued, moving slowly above them, then stopped, right above the projector. The room held its breath. Suddenly the projector turned on. No one had touched it. The screen glowed, static at first. Then, a hallway camera feed. But it wasn't now. The date stamp in the corner read, March 14th, 1996. The footage was grainy. In it, a boy in a torn Pine Ridge High sweatshirt was running down the hallway, looking back over his shoulder in terror. Behind him, shadows, twisting, reaching. And then, the video cut out. The projector turned off. The dragging sound started again, this time moving away. Mr. Halverson stood. "We're leaving." "But we're in lockdown," someone whispered. "That wasn't a normal lockdown," he said. "That thing is not from here." He unlocked the door, opened it slowly. The hallway lights were flickering. The lockers were shaking, rattling as if something was slamming against them from inside. "We move in a group. Stay quiet." They exited room 104, huddled close. Halfway down the hallway, the fire alarm blared, but there was no flashing red light. Just the sound, warped, slowed, like a siren underwater. Then, one by one, the hallway lights went dark behind them. Click, click, click. The darkness chased them. Jason tripped. Emily grabbed his hand. They reached the stairwell door. It wouldn't open. No. Mr. Halverson slammed his shoulder into it. From behind, the hallway went black. Then they heard it. Breathing. Heavy. Animalistic. But too big for any animal. The wall at the far end of the hallway bulged, like something enormous was pressing against it from the other side. Then the door to room 108 exploded outward. A creature stepped into the hallway. It didn't walk. It hovered. Limbs too long, bones on the outside. No eyes, but it saw them. It wanted them. Emily screamed again. Mr. Halverson turned. "Back! Room 104!" They ran, back inside, slammed the door. The creature stopped at the door, waited. Then it laughed. Not a human laugh, but it knew what a laugh was. It mimicked it, and then it whispered, somehow through the walls, "Stay." The lights flickered again. Then everything went dark. When the lights returned, everyone was gone. At least that's what it looked like to Emily when she opened her eyes. The classroom was empty. Chairs knocked over. Mr. Halverson's coffee mug shattered on the floor. The smell of burnt metal hung in the air. "Hello?" she called out. Silence. She reached for her phone. No signal. She walked to the window. The fog had thinned, but now the world outside looked wrong. Trees bent at impossible angles. The sky was tinged with a strange shade of green. Then she noticed something new, writing on the whiteboard. It hadn't been there before. "Welcome back, Emily." She backed away. Suddenly from the hallway, she heard it again. Laughter, this time closer. She ran. Flinging the door open, she darted into the hall. Lights buzzed. The air felt thicker, hotter. Posters on the walls had changed. No longer cheerful reminders about homecoming or mask mandates. They now showed missing students, their faces scratched out in red ink. She reached the office. The door was ajar. Inside, the security monitors flickered. One feed showed room 104. Emily gasped. She was still there, or rather, a version of her was there, sitting at her desk, still, unblinking, like a mannequin. The monitor glitched. The screen split into dozens of small frames, all showing different versions of room 104, each with a different Emily. In one, she was crying. In another, she was smiling with no eyes. In the worst one, she was standing in the dark, and something behind her was whispering into her ear. Emily stepped back from the monitors and nearly tripped over a chair. On the floor was a file folder, her name on it. She opened it. Inside, a yellowed newspaper clipping. "Local teen dies in school fire, March 14th, 1996. It was a photo of the same hallway from the projector video. Her heart stopped. The victim's face was burned, but the name was there. Emily Ruiz. She looked again. Same name. Same birthday. Same face. "No," she whispered. The room grew cold. Behind her, the monitor clicked. The version of Emily in room 104 turned slowly to face the camera. Her mouth opened unnaturally wide. She whispered, "You were never supposed to leave." Emily dropped the file and ran, down the hallway, past classrooms that stretched too long, doors that led to nowhere. She ran until the building seemed to fold in on itself. Finally, she found a door marked Exit. It wasn't there before. She didn't hesitate. She threw it open and found herself back in room 104. But this time, everyone was sitting at their desks, smiling, not blinking. Mr. Halverson stood at the board, writing endlessly, over and over. She stayed. She stayed. She stayed. Emily screamed. No one moved. Then her desk scraped across the floor by itself. It faced the board now. Her body moved on its own. She sat down, hands folded, eyes forward. The fog outside thickened again. Somewhere far off, the lockdown announcement repeated, over and over, like a record on loop. 1 year later, Pine Ridge High reopened again. The building had been renovated. No mention of the incident remained. But students sometimes say they hear whispers in room 104, that the projector turns on by itself, and sometimes, just sometimes, a girl they don't recognize appears in the back row. She never speaks, she just stares. And if you meet her eyes, you hear it too. You were never supposed to leave. The Janitors, Key Lincoln High School, Pennsylvania, March 3rd, 3:47 p.m. Final bell had rung 20 minutes ago. Most students were gone, but 7 remained in room 209, detention kids, the worst of the week. Tyrell, big and loud, always challenging authority. Sasha, the quiet art girl with dark sketches, Eric, the class clown, Lizzie, smart but angry, Danny, who barely talked, Grace, the principal's daughter, and Morgan, who no one really remembered enrolling. Mr. Hensley, a substitute teacher, had been assigned last minute. He looked nervous the entire time. Then the PA system buzzed, lockdown. Locks, lights, out of sight. This is not a drill. The kids froze. Someone check the hallway, Hensley said, too quiet. Tyrell opened the door. The hallway was dark. No alarms, no sirens, just a strange smell, like rust and rain. Suddenly, the door slammed shut on its own. The lights blinked. Phones lost signal. Even the emergency flashlight in the corner went out. Then someone knocked, 3 times, but not at the door. From inside the classroom wall, they all backed away. The knocking moved, inside the wall, traveling, circling them. Sasha whispered. This room used to be the janitor's storage years ago. They sealed it off after a student went missing. Don't, said Mr. Hensley. But it was too late. A key slid out from under the chalkboard. An old brass key. It shouldn't have been there. No one touched it. And yet the classroom door unlocked itself. It swung open slowly. Outside, the hallway was completely different, longer, darker. The lockers were gone, and there was a man at the far end, wearing a faded custodian uniform, head tilted, no face. He raised his hand, held up a giant old-fashioned ring of keys, then pointed one long finger at them. Click. The door locked again. Now, inside room 209, the chalkboard had changed. One sentence written in red: some doors should never be opened. Lizzie screamed as her desk started to shake. Then Eric's chair was pulled violently backward. He slammed into the ground. A soft, dragging sound began, like chains on tile. Suddenly, the room began to shift. The windows now showed hallways instead of outside. And in every window, that same faceless janitor stood, watching, waiting. Danny, who hadn't spoken all day, said flatly, "He collects the locked ones, the kids who wander too far, the ones nobody remembers. That's how he stays here." "Shut up!" Grace yelled. But Morgan stepped forward. I think he's here for me." Everyone stared. "Who are you?" Lizzie asked. Morgan just smiled and vanished. No sound, no scream. She was just gone. Then the janitor opened the classroom door without touching it. The hallway behind him was pitch black. He didn't enter. He waited. Tyrell ran, straight at him, vanished into the black. One by one, the lights in the classroom blew out. Bang, bang, bang. Only Sasha and Grace remained. Closet. Sasha pulled her into the janitor's old supply closet in the corner. They shut the door. Darkness breathing. Then, keys jingling outside the door. Then the soft metallic whisper, "You left the door open." The knob turned. They screamed. 2 days later, Lincoln High reopened. No lockdown was reported. No students missing officially. But room 209 was sealed off again. Some nights, janitors swear they hear keys jingling behind that door. And on the chalkboard, one more key. Room 306 at Lockwood Middle School went into lockdown at 2:14 p.m. on a Thursday. No warning, no announcement of drills. Just a sudden blare of the intercom. Lockdown. Locks, lights, out of sight. Mrs. Dalton froze mid-sentence. The students in room 306 looked up from their essays. She calmly turned off the lights, locked the door, and herded everyone to the corner farthest from the windows. But something was wrong. No police sirens, no screaming. No sound at all, outside or in the halls. Mrs. Dalton checked her phone. No signal, she whispered. It's probably a false alarm. Then came the footsteps. But they weren't human. They were wet, slapping sounds, like bare feet dragging on linoleum. Closer. Outside the door, something heavy brushed the metal handle. Everyone went silent. Suddenly, they heard breathing. Not from inside the room, but over the intercom. Slow, raspy, like something just inches from a microphone. Then the intercom crackled and spoke. "Which of you will open the door?" Students screamed. Mrs. Dalton tried her phone again. Still dead. Then the lights flickered. On, then off, then on again, and one student was missing. Mark. His backpack was still there, his chair still warm, but Mark was gone. No noise, no scream. Then the door unlocked itself. Mrs. Dalton ran to slam it shut again. But outside stood Mark. Pale, expressionless. His eyes were pure black. He whispered, "She's in the walls," and fell forward, cracking his head on the floor. More footsteps in the hallway now. Not just one set, dozens, dragging, slithering. Someone or something passed by the door. They didn't see a face, just a black dress floating. Mrs. Dalton gathered the kids into the closet. 25 students, silent in a dark space made for brooms and paper towels. From outside, a voice whispered again, "Let me in, Mrs. Dalton. I used to be one of yours." The students sobbed quietly. Someone knocked on the closet door. Light, playful. Then another voice, one of the girls, whispered inside the closet, "Where's Ava?" They looked around. Ava was gone, vanished from a sealed closet full of people. And now, scribbled across the inside wall, "The teacher always leaves last." Suddenly, the walls of the closet began to breathe. Inhale, exhale, like lungs. The metal handle began to melt, curling like wax. The door burst open, but it wasn't room 306 outside anymore. It was a hallway of doors, stretching endlessly, all marked 306, 306, 306. Mrs. Dalton stepped back, confused. A little girl stood at the first door, her back turned. "Ma'am," Dalton said. The girl turned. No face, just a keyhole. She pointed at the class. "Pick one." The lights exploded. 6 months later, Lockwood Middle has reopened. New staff, new students. Room 306 remains empty. Custodians say no matter how they paint the wall inside the supply closet, the words return. The teacher always leaves last. And when the school goes quiet after hours, sometimes a knock comes from inside the walls. Sometimes someone answers. Hall Pass, Roosevelt High School, Oregon. Friday, 1:28 p.m. A surprise lockdown began during fourth period. No drill was scheduled. No announcement beforehand. Only a single tone over the intercom, long and low. Room 214 students locked the door, turned off the lights, and followed protocol. But something felt wrong. Koenig, the history teacher, looked nervous. He kept checking his watch, kept glancing at the hallway. Then his phone vibrated. One message. No sender. He's in the halls. Don't unlock for anyone, not even students. Koenig's hands shook. From outside came a faint scraping. Not footsteps, scraping. As if something was being dragged. Then a knock. 3 soft taps. "Please let me in." A girl's voice. The class froze. "Who is it?" Koenig asked. "It's Rachel," said the voice. "I got locked out. Please." A student named Kevin whispered, "Rachel's in here." Everyone turned, and yes, Rachel was sitting right there, pale as a sheet. "No one opens the door," Koenig said. The voice outside giggled. Then a second knock from the closet. They hadn't even thought to check it. Koenig opened it slowly, holding a heavy stapler like a weapon. Nothing. Just brooms, buckets, and a single old hall pass made of metal hanging from a nail. He took it down, turned it over, etched in the metal. One way, no return. Suddenly a student screamed. Jeremy, gone. His desk still there, his shoes still there. But no Jeremy. On the board, written in fresh red ink, he used the pass. The intercom buzzed again. This time a voice, deep, wrong, inhuman. Room by room, one by one, the ones who roam will come undone. The door unlocked by itself. Kevin ran forward to relock it. But the hallway outside was gone. Instead, it showed a long corridor of lockers, all open, all breathing, yes, breathing. Air moved in and out of them in rhythm, like lungs. And at the far end, something crawled. It wore a teacher's badge, but it didn't walk. It dragged itself forward, spine twisted, limbs clicking backward like a spider. Koenig pushed a desk in front of the door, but the windows now showed different classrooms. In each, students screamed silently as they were dragged into the floors, into the walls. Rachel stood suddenly. "This isn't a lockdown," she whispered. "It's a hunt." Koenig asked, "What do you mean?" Rachel turned, her eyes now solid white. "I wasn't supposed to come back." And she vanished. Lights exploded. The door handle twisted, then the wall began to crack. From inside, something was trying to get through, then it stopped. The fire alarm went off. Sirens, real ones. Cops stormed in. Room 214 was found empty. Except for one thing, a metal hall pass, still warm. Present day. Roosevelt High still uses paper hall passes only. But students say if you ever find a metal one, don't pick it up, because once it's in your hand, he knows where you are. Mercy General, the rusted gate of Mercy General Hospital groaned open as the wind picked up. The sky above was a washed-out gray, thick with approaching storm clouds. Weeds had overgrown the parking lot. The building stood tall and silent, its windows like empty watching eyes. Alex, a 26-year-old urban explorer, stood at the entrance with his flashlight and camera. He'd driven 4 hours to get here, drawn by stories of screams heard at night, flickering lights in dead hallways and missing hikers. He loved this stuff. The front doors were shattered long ago. Inside, a thick, musty air greeted him. Wet walls, mold, dust. The reception desk was buried under papers. Wheelchairs stood motionless like frozen ghosts. Alex turned on his flashlight. Paint peeled from the ceiling like rotting skin. Footsteps echoed behind him. He spun. Nothing, just his own breath. He pressed record. Mercy General, closed since 1996. Site of over 40 patient deaths during a mysterious blackout. Staff vanished. One of the nurses was never found. Let's see what they left behind. He moved deeper into the hospital. Broken beds lined the hallways. Operating tools lay scattered, rusted. Dried stains decorated the floor, faint but unmistakable. The silence was alive. He reached the ICU. The door was locked. Odd. Everything else had been broken. He shoved hard. The door creaked open, rows of beds, all empty. Except one. The bed closest to the back wall had its curtain drawn shut. He approached. "Classic horror setup," he whispered, forcing a laugh. He pulled the curtain. Nothing there. Just a deep indentation on the mattress, like someone had just been lying there. He stepped back. The heart monitor next to the bed crackled and turned on. Beep, beep, beep. It spiked. Beep! Then silence. He ran from the room. The hallway lights, long dead, flashed once, then again, then stayed on. He was sweating now. The stairwell was at the end of the corridor. He pushed through the door and climbed up to the 3rd floor, psychiatric ward. The air grew colder. Graffiti covered the walls, names, handprints, symbols, and one sentence written in red: "You don't leave once you're admitted." He stepped into a patient room. A name tag still hung from the foot of the bed. Rachel M., Suicide Watch. The closet door creaked. He turned. It opened slowly. A whisper came from inside. He took my face. He dropped his flashlight. In the moment of darkness, he heard movement, heavy breathing, a wet dragging sound. He scrambled to pick the light up and ran out, down the hallway. The doors along the sides began slamming one by one. Bang! 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 Then a scream, a woman's scream, long, ragged, full of agony. He turned to look and saw someone standing at the end of the hall, wearing a nurse's uniform. Her face was blurry, like static. Her arms dangled too low. Her fingers twitched unnaturally. He ran, found the elevator. The doors opened without power. Inside stood a wheelchair, facing the wall. He got in, hoping for stairs on the other side, but the elevator doors closed behind him. Pitch black. The elevator dropped. Fast. Too fast. He screamed. Then it stopped. The doors opened to a floor that didn't exist on the map. Basement. Records room. The hallway was lined with filing cabinets, some open, some vibrating. The walls pulsed. He stepped over scattered files. Stopped. His name was on a chart. Alexander Reed, admitted, 11:34 p.m. Status, unstable. The paper was warm. The lights went out again. He turned around. Behind him was Rachel, the girl from the room. Only now she had no eyes, just deep holes. Her mouth was open in a silent scream. Her fingers were made of scalpels. She lunged. Alex ran, turning corner after corner until he burst into the morgue. Rows of cold chambers. Every door stood open, all empty, except one. Slam. The door behind him locked. He was trapped. One by one, the drawers began to open. Hands emerged, then heads, each face staring at him. Burned, torn, familiar. One whispered, "We all left something behind." A final drawer opened. Inside was his own body, eyes wide, mouth screaming. Then darkness swallowed the room. The next morning, Mercy General looked the same, silent, still. Except room 303, Rachel's room, had fresh footprints on the floor. A new name appeared on the wall beside it. Alexander Reed, permanent resident. The motel room. The road was long, straight, and quiet. Ethan had been driving for over 12 hours across Arizona, eyes red from caffeine and dry wind. It was past 1 a.m. when the neon sign flickered into view. Sunset Pines Motel. Vacancy. A single-story structure stood alone in the desert. 10 rooms. One working light above the check-in office. No cars in the parking lot. He rang the bell. An old woman appeared behind the counter. Thin lips, sunken eyes, pale skin stretched over a skull-like face. One night, he said, she slid a key toward him. No words, just a key. Room 6. He parked, grabbed his bag, and unlocked the door. The room smelled like dust and mildew. A cracked mirror above the sink, brown stains on the carpet. But he was too tired to care. He threw himself onto the bed and passed out. He woke up gasping. The room was freezing. The clock on the nightstand blinked 3:33 a.m. He reached for the blanket and froze. There were muddy footprints on the floor, leading from the bathroom to the bed. He hadn't gone into the bathroom. His chest tightened. The bathroom door was half open. Darkness beyond it. Something moved inside. Slow, heavy. He grabbed his flashlight, heart hammering, and crept forward. The light beam flicked on and revealed nothing. No one there. He stepped in. The mirror above the sink was fogged up. A message appeared on the glass, as if written by a finger. "You shouldn't have come here." He ran out of the bathroom, grabbed his bag, and reached for the door. It wouldn't open. Locked. He pulled harder. No use. The lights flickered. In the mirror behind him, a shape stood, tall, twisted. Its face was a blur, like smeared clay. Its arms too long, fingers like wires. He turned around. Nothing there. He turned back to the mirror. The shape was closer, right behind him. He turned again. Empty. Then he saw something on the bed. A Polaroid photo. He picked it up. It showed a man sleeping in the same bed, same room, same angle. On the back, taken at 3:33 a.m. The light went out. He screamed. Something heavy moved in the corner. He backed into the bathroom, slammed the door, and locked it. A whisper came through the crack beneath the door. "Your room 6 now. Forever." He turned toward the mirror. His reflection was smiling, but he wasn't. The reflection raised a hand. Ethan's own hand stayed still. Then the mirror cracked. Blood seeped from the cracks. The room groaned. He screamed again. Then silence. The next morning, the front desk bell rang again. The same old woman slid a new key across the counter to another traveler. No words, just a key. Room 6. The bus that never reached. The rain had started around midnight, heavy, rhythmic, and relentless. Sajid stood under a dim streetlight, backpack clutched to his chest, waiting for a ride that shouldn't have existed. The bus pulled up exactly at 12:13 a.m., a rusty old machine with no number, no signboard, and no sound except the hiss of the door opening. He hesitated. The street was empty. No rickshaws, no cars, just that single bus in the downpour. He stepped in. The inside smelled of damp seats, old metal, and something else, something sweet and rotting. There were 8 passengers already, scattered. None of them moved or looked at him. They stared forward, rigid as mannequins. Sajid chose a seat near the back. The door closed behind him with a sound like something breathing. The bus began to move, slow at first, then smoother. No bumps, no sound from the engine. Minutes passed. The passengers didn't blink, didn't cough, didn't shift. Sajid looked at the driver. He wore a blue uniform but had no face. Where his features should be, there was only smooth, stretched skin like wax. Sajid's chest tightened. He looked down at his phone. No signal. 12:24 a.m. He tried to get up. His body felt heavy, like his limbs were resisting. He managed to stand and walk to the front. "Where's this bus going?" His voice echoed. No reply. The faceless driver kept his hands on the wheel. Sajid grabbed a handle and looked outside. The city was gone. Only trees now. Endless tall black trees rushing past like streaks of ink. He turned. One of the passengers was missing, the old woman who had sat near the front. Gone. No sound. No stop. His heart pounded. He walked aisle to aisle. The air grew colder. Another man vanished. His seat now stained with a dark liquid slowly dripping to the floor. Sajid backed away. The window glass started fogging from the inside. Fingerprints appeared, small, frantic hands clawing from within. He screamed. The lights inside the bus flickered. With each flicker, another passenger disappeared. 7 left. Then 6. A girl turned to look at him. Her eyes were completely black. "You weren't supposed to leave last time," she said softly. "What are you talking about? You escaped. The rest of us burned." He shook his head. "That's not true. You ran out of the wreckage. We stayed. You never looked back." He stumbled. His memories rushed in. Twisted metal, screaming fire, a crash, a night just like this. He had survived, and he had forgotten. The bus kept moving. Now there were 3 passengers, each one staring at him, each one with melted faces. The girl stood up. "We came back for you." The floor beneath him turned soft, wet. He looked down. He was sinking. Dark liquid oozed up to his knees. Screaming faces swirled below the surface, moaning without sound. The windows shattered. Cold wind rushed in. The forest outside was gone. Only fog now. Only screaming. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, he was in the same seat again. The bus was still, empty, except for him and the driver. His own face stared back at him from the driver's seat. The door opened. A new passenger stepped in. The Harvest House. No GPS showed it. Locals warned against it. But the house still stood. Miles off Route 42, hidden behind a forest of dying oak trees, sat an old farmhouse known by few as the Harvest House. It had no official record, no address. But it had a story. A story about the Walker family, who moved there in 1971 and vanished 6 months later. Their furniture remained. Their food rotted in the fridge. But not a single trace of them was ever found. Some said it was demons. Others whispered about pagan rituals. But most just said, "Don't go there." Elliot didn't care. He was a documentary filmmaker chasing fame. The house that ate a family would be his breakout. He arrived with his girlfriend Rachel and their friends Travis and Naomi. One weekend, 4 cameras, flashlights, a drone, and every paranormal tool Amazon sold. The moment they crossed the rusted gate, Rachel said it felt wrong. "Like the house is breathing," she whispered. They all laughed, but the wind didn't. Day 1, 4:12 p.m. The house loomed, 3 stories tall, collapsing in sections, paint peeled to bone. A swing creaked slowly out front, though there was no breeze. Inside, the air was thick and moist. Mold crept across the walls. A rotten smell came from the basement door, nailed shut with chains. The living room still had toys on the floor. A family photo on the mantel showed Mr. and Mrs. Walker with their 3 kids, smiling, too wide. They set up camp in the master bedroom. That night, they began recording. Naomi. This is where Mr. Walker reportedly heard voices from the walls. Travis joked. Maybe the drywall was lonely. The lights flickered. Rachel's camera glitched. In the footage, a second shadow behind them. But no one noticed. Day 2, 2:33. Travis couldn't sleep. He heard footsteps above them, but there was no attic. He climbed to the 3rd floor. Each room was worse than the last. In one, the bed was carved with deep marks. Let us out scratched hundreds of times. Another room had a rocking chair facing a wall. It rocked on its own. He found a closet. Inside, a small wooden mask hung from a nail. Tribal. Old. Burnt. He touched it. A child's voice giggled behind him. He turned. No one. But now the mask was gone. Day 2, 4:14, and Rachel screamed. They rushed to her. She said something had whispered in her ear. "We remember your face." She hadn't left the room, yet her feet were muddy. They checked the footage. It showed her standing still, then vanishing for 4 minutes. When she reappeared, she was humming. She didn't remember it. That morning, Naomi wanted to leave, but the car wouldn't start. No signal, no GPS. The house was hungry. Day 3, 3:03 p.m. They explored the basement. Using bolt cutters, they broke the chains. The door groaned open. Inside was darkness and a staircase that descended too far for the size of the house. At the bottom, a stone room, symbols on the walls, burnt candles, a ring of bones, and a book, leather-bound, written in a language none of them knew. Elliot took pictures. Travis touched a symbol. The ground trembled. A voice rose from the floor. Harvest must continue. They ran. Behind them, a figure crawled up the stairs. Its limbs cracked in the wrong directions. It wore the wooden mask. Its voice was layered. Man, woman, child, you broke the seal, now we take again. Nightfall. Naomi was missing. Her camera lay in the field outside, still recording. In the footage, she walked into the cornfield alone. She began to pray. Then she screamed. A dozen shadowy figures rose from the stalks, arms outstretched. They didn't run. They surrounded her. Then, silence. Elliot panicked. Rachel sat in the living room, mumbling. Children under the floor. Blood on the ceiling. The harvest never ends. Her eyes were black. She smiled, then screamed so loud the windows cracked. When they tried to hold her, her body went limp. But the smile remained. That night, Elliot found Travis hanging from the 2nd floor, his mouth filled with soil. Final day. Only Elliot remained. He tried to run, but the house changed. Hallways led to rooms that didn't exist. Doors opened into walls. Time broke. At 3 a.m., every door opened at once. A storm of whispers flooded the house. They fed us once. You feed us now. He saw them, the walkers, still wearing their 1970s clothes, their faces pale and sewn shut. They surrounded him. The mask floated before him. He screamed. The footage cut to static. 2 weeks later, the camera was found at a gas station 40 miles away. No sign of Elliot or the others. But one frame, just before the footage ends, shows him inside the house. Only this time, he's in the background of the original Walker family photo, smiling too wide. Fog Town. Nobody remembered when the fog started. Some said it came the night the old coal mine collapsed. Others blamed the chemical plant that exploded in '98. But in the town of Grey Ditch, people just stopped asking questions. They stayed indoors. They shut their windows. They didn't go out after dark, except Jason. Jason Doyle was 22. He didn't believe in ghost stories. Grew up hearing about the whispering fog. But to him, Grey Ditch was just a dead town filled with sad, paranoid people. So one night, just after 11 p.m., he stepped outside with a flashlight and a GoPro strapped to his chest. "For all the believers out there," he said into the camera, "this is your proof that nothing's out here. Just fog and fear." He started walking toward the old town square. The fog was thick, hanging like wet sheets. It muffled every sound, making even his own footsteps sound distant. Street lamps flickered above, casting halos of pale light that disappeared into the mist. He passed the closed diner, the empty barber shop, the crumbling movie theater. Everything looked frozen. Then he heard it. A whistle. High-pitched, almost musical. He turned. No one. "Hello?" he called. Silence. He laughed nervously. "Nice try." He moved on. The temperature dropped suddenly. His breath turned white. Then he saw something ahead. A shape. Someone standing still in the road. He paused. The figure was wrong. Too tall. Its arms dangled low, its head cocked sideways. "Hey, you all right?" No response. Jason stepped closer. The figure didn't move. He raised his flashlight. The beam hit the figure and passed through, like mist. Then the figure vanished. Jason cursed, backing up. A whisper tickled his ear. "You shouldn't be here." He turned in a panic. Nothing behind him. His flashlight flickered. A second figure now stood 10 feet away. Smaller, like a child. It tilted its head, took a step forward. Jason ran. He bolted down an alley, heart pounding. The buildings around him blurred in the fog. He stopped behind a dumpster, trying to breathe. Footsteps. Soft. Slapping against pavement, coming closer. He peeked around the corner. Nothing. Then, slam. Something hit the dumpster from the other side. He screamed and ran again. He ended up near the old high school, long abandoned, windows boarded shut. The fog wrapped around the building like claws. The front doors creaked open. He was drawn in, whether by fear or curiosity, he didn't know. Inside was silent. Lockers rusted, ceiling tiles on the ground. His flashlight caught movement at the end of the hallway. A girl in a school uniform. Her back turned. She whispered something. Jason raised the camera. "Who are you?" She turned. Her eyes were gone. 2 black voids leaked smoke. She smiled, a wide, bloody grin, and screamed. The windows shattered. Jason fell backward and scrambled away, running into a classroom. The chalkboard was clean except for a single message. "You can't leave now." Every desk had a body slumped over it, uniforms, skin gray, eyes stitched shut. They began to move, slowly raising their heads. Jason ran again, out the back exit into the woods. Fog surrounded everything. He tripped and rolled down a hill, hitting something solid. He looked up. The old mine entrance. Barred. Chained. The chain was broken. Inside, The tunnel yawned open. From the darkness, voices called his name. Jason. Jason. He turned to leave, but the path behind was gone. Just fog. Nowhere to go but forward. He entered. The tunnel walls dripped. Rusted tools littered the ground. He heard breathing ahead. Not one person, many, dozens. Then he saw them. Miners, or what was left of them. Their skulls were cracked, helmets broken. One dragged a pickaxe with fingers made of bone. They surrounded him slowly. He screamed, backing into the wall. A deep voice echoed from the cave ceiling. "You brought the light. Now we show you the dark." His flashlight shattered. The camera kept rolling. The last thing it captured was Jason's face, eyes wide, mouth open, a shadow descending over him. Then static. 1 week later, the mayor of Greyditch received a package, no return address. Inside, Jason's camera, battery dead, lens cracked. But when they turned it on, it played, only fog. And from the speakers, a whisper. "We're not trapped in the fog. You are." The Drowning Place. In the heart of Oregon's pine forests, there lies a lake untouched by time. Locals call it Deadwater Lake. Once a thriving resort town bloomed around it, until 1985, when all 17 guests at the lakeside lodge disappeared overnight. No bodies, no struggle, just silence. They drained the lake the next year. They found nothing. No cars, no bones. Just dark silt and something pulsing beneath it, so they filled it back in, fenced it off, and forgot. Present day. Maya and her brother Chris didn't believe in cursed water. They were urban explorers and YouTubers with 2 million subscribers. Deadwater was perfect for their Halloween special. They rented a cabin near the lake, one of the last still standing. A local man warned them, "You hear splashing after sundown. Don't look out the window." Maya laughed. Chris rolled his eyes. The man didn't. Night. 11:42 p.m. The lake was a mirror. Maya stood on the porch, filming the reflection of the moon. Then she noticed it. Ripples. Something moved just beneath the surface. Chris came out squinting. "It's just a fish," he said. But Maya kept filming. The camera caught it. A shape. Long, pale, dragging limbs. No eyes. No face. It hovered just under the surface. Then it vanished. Beat 2. 1:07 a.m. They heard footsteps on the dock, but no one was there. Chris checked the drone footage. It showed 2 figures standing at the edge of the dock at 12:59 a.m. One was Chris. The other was someone behind him, tall and soaked, face hidden by dripping black hair. Chris had been alone. Day 3. The deep room. They explored the basement of the cabin, rare for lake houses. They found a locked door. Behind it, a room tiled like a bathhouse. The floor had a large covered drain. On the walls were markings, names, scratched deep, some still bleeding. One was Maya's. She hadn't been down there before. That evening, Chris went to shower. Maya reviewed the drone feed and paused. Frame by frame, the camera showed something crawling out of the lake. Naked, thin, covered in leeches. It walked backwards. Its head turned all the way around and looked up at the drone. 2:33 a.m. Chris was gone. Maya found the bathroom door wide open, the tub full, but the water was black. She drained it slowly. At the bottom, a tooth. Human. Fresh. She packed to leave, but the car keys were in Chris's coat, which was floating in the lake. She ran inside, locked the doors, boarded the windows, but water dripped from the ceiling. She looked up. Chris stood on the ceiling, upside down. His mouth opened and only lake water poured out. He spoke, voice gurgling. "It remembers your name now." Then he vanished. The final night. Maya tried to stay awake, but the whispers started, from inside the walls, from the drains, from the lake. She tried to block it out, but she blinked just once, and she was standing waist deep in the lake. No memory of getting there. The moon above her, the cold below. Hands grabbed her ankles. She screamed and clawed back to shore, coughing water and blood. On the sand was a message. One always leaves, one always stays. 1 week later. Hikers found Maya on the side of the highway, shivering, silent. The police returned to the cabin. Chris was never found, but on the dock, they found 2 sets of wet footprints, one leading into the lake and one leading out. Final footage from Maya's camera. She sits in the cabin, eyes wide, whispering to herself. Then, just before the screen cuts to black, she turns and says, almost dreamily, "It only drowns those who scream."